Okay. Grand Finals Mappool Showcase. I'm pleased to.
Okay. Hello everybody. My name is Mappool. I'm the host of this tournament, and I'm here joined by Chu. You're free to talk now.
Alright, yeah, I guess there was a. I guess we kind of fucked it up.
Yeah, nope.
Yo.
It's alright. It's been an experience. We're finally here at the last moment. Grand Finals Showcase, finally, after multiple weeks of working quite hard. I know you have especially been making these pools.
And
But
you and the host have also been doing some considerable amount of work. The pools are gonna be fun. They're gonna be difficult. They're gonna be. You might hate them, but I swear this pool will. You'll enjoy at least one map of the pool.
Yeah, I saw y'all like talking about the pool and just how difficult it is, so it's gonna be interesting to watch. But with that being said, no more stalling. It is time to get into the Grand Finals Mappool Showcase for the 3 players left in this tournament.
Neptune, Hello Sun, and Mitter.
Yep.
Let's give it up for those guys who have made it very far. Have worked very hard to get this far. And let's get into the map pool.
Yep, and we're going to be starting off with Rice 1, American Idiot 1.05 by Ska. I definitely know that you'll know quite a bit more than I will about these map pools, so do you have anything to say about this?
Yeah, so this is the stream pick. It's really fast. Have fun.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna be honest, I think this was pulled a long time ago, and in my head, when I saw it, I'm like, wow, this pool's gonna be really hard judging off of a Ska map on 1.05 and it being American Idiot itself. I know this chart decently well because every single time I see this chart, I'm like, I really like this song and I really want to play it, but I just don't have the physicality to play this, so it's kind of insane to think about how these players are going to be playing on a 1.05. And by the way, Marcinio is the one, I believe, that is doing this replay, so you can see how difficult this map is in general, just off of how Marcinio is struggling quite a bit on this chart, but I guess it is to be said since America is quite a rice-dominant country.
Yeah, and yeah, the streams, they do have some mage so they are quite fast, but the good news is that they don't really go on for that long. It's just really miss heavy, so I guess like what players will want to do is try to minimize it's going to be accuracy versus miss trade-off. They want to hold their accuracy while not missing. And basically that comes down to going on to the streams. And so this is probably going to be one of the harder picks.
Yeah, definitely, and especially that map being quite short, it'll be really important that you are able to hold on to a really big combo. But that is Rice 1, going on to Rice 2 now. And it's going to be Shiki Cold Breath by Blessia. I believe Blessy is Korean, correct? So one of those Korean mappers that are like really, really well known for having difficult maps in general.
Yeah, so this is this is probably the hardest map in the pool, besides the tiebreaker.
I see. Yeah, 1.1 it being on 1.4 is definitely very, very scary, and I know a bunch of Korean mappers are well known for having very stamina draining maps, and we already see that right now with all these hand streams. And this is pretty fast hand stream at 271 BPM. So like this is actually terrifying to think about in general.
That's right. This map just goes on and doesn't stop. It's BPM isn't so difficult, but the patterning and sheer length just makes this a real stamina test and a real way to end these pools.
Yeah, I think that's something that a bunch of these Korean mappers, such as Blessia, do really well, is just have a really good test of stamina. And it's just mostly due to you have a bunch of different, I guess, the same pattern, a bunch of these hand stream thrown at you, but they're kind of very minute differences in these streams that just really make you to struggle on reading, struggle on stamina, and just the culmination of everything just makes this really hard as a pick in general. And we still see Marcinio struggling quite a bit, and I feel like we're gonna see definitely multiple misses. I think if people FC this pool, it'll be like maybe Mitter, maybe Nep. I don't know if Nep or Hellison are actually going to be able to FC this pool. I feel like Mitter has the physicality to do it, but it'll be very close. I feel like FCs on any of these maps are going to be super impressive.
Yeah, and this is one where this is a physical map through and through. You just have to go. There's not much more to be said. It just goes on.
Yeah, also, I would like to add, this is on 1.4 and it's still 4 minutes long, so it just really goes to show how much of a stamina drain this is. So you will be playing like 270 for basically 4 minutes straight, besides this one minor break. But if I'm going to be honest, this definitely isn't going to be enough for you, most likely, since unless this is like your first map of the match, it's going to be a stamina drain throughout the entirety, because it's not just this map that's going to be draining your stamina, it's also having to play the other maps right before it.
Yeah, so this map is not to be taken lightly, and you get a whole other section coming up. This last third is equally as stamina draining as the first.
Yeah, and it just does not let up at all. All these hand stream, all these trills, it's just all coming at you all at once. It's quite a bit to handle, I'd say. You know, I kind of feel like this one may be a bit more. I feel like if you can play this map decently well in any capacity, like if you can play 270, 280, 290 hand stream somehow, this map will be a walk in the park. However, I still think misses will come out, but I think it's really going to be off of trying to get your best judgments as much as possible. Just trying to get basically as good of a ratio as possible just to make up for those misses, as well as like trying to minimize 200s. And that's kind of going to be the name of the game of this.
Alright, so that's going to be end of Cold Breath, Rush 2. So that's going to be our jump stream pick, and now we're going to go into our next consistency pick, which is going to be Sakura Iwu Fuwari 1.1 by Isokasa Fukuja. So he's a very charts very streamy files, and this one is gonna be kind of mixed jump stream bursts, and the important part is that these parts are quite stamina draining.
Yeah, we already see this really dense stream, kind of rolly stream, but still, it's just goes to show that was insanely dense. I feel like this is quite a bit of a step up from last pool. Even what was Rice 3? It was like
Boros by Penguin.
Yeah, that the penguin map, that was really, really difficult, but I feel like this is a step up even from there. And I feel like people were struggling quite a bit on that one. So it'll be interesting to see how people are going to be adapting to this, maybe changing their playstyle a bit. I feel like this Grand Final pool is definitely going to favor people who are going to be able to hold a combo as much as possible. And just because being able to be at the 400 combo mark is very, very important, actually. Osimania is a combo game, as everyone knows. But yeah.
Yeah, and we're only halfway through, and these patterns just keep on going. There's no break to it. It's forever.
Yeah, this map. Oh, you go.
It's a different type of stamina drain than the jump stream.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like if you're not very prepared to play streams for a long length of time, at least speed streams, because this is a very different type of stream from Rice 2. Whereas Rice 2 is mostly hand streams, trill, very, very trilly. This one is more, I guess, speed reliant. We see with a lot of these rolls and a lot of these, I guess, not really bursts, but like stairs all over the place, which can definitely screw up some people. But even though this map is a minute shorter than the last map, I still think just there being no breaks can definitely cause quite a bit of stamina drain. So it'll really be a what's the saying? You don't really have you don't really have a good option of stamina if you want to pick it. It's either you pick a long stamina map with a break or two, or this, which is just constantly stamina draining.
Yeah, so this map is 3 minutes long, even at 1.1, but that's gonna be the end. And there's not the end, there's still more.
Yep, this is never ending. Truly, I feel like especially at this ending section, we will be seeing quite a bit of manip. Maybe some tides turning at this ending, just because people will drop a lot of 200s or maybe a break or two.
Yeah, so that's going to be the end of Rice 3. We're going to be going into something a little bit more technical with Rice 4. So this is going to be kind of our dump pick. It's going to be by Crew K on 1.1. And shoutouts to Maya, also known as Maya0149, for the replay.
Yep. And here we go. This is a Crew K map. Crew K. Wait, what kind of map did you say this was?
I'd say this is the dump packet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so Crew K dump is, I guess, I wouldn't say that Crew K was very well known for dump, but I definitely know Crew K is very, very well known to make difficult charts in general. So, will be interesting to see this, for me at least.
Yeah, so this is I'd say it's kind of like Geralt on steroids. There's a lot of your favorite Crew K patterns, and these magettes can get pretty abrasive.
Yeah, and also I would like to say that I saw like a really, really bad anchor. Not necessarily bad, but like difficult to play anchor in that last chorus, I guess. So we'll have to keep those in mind whenever playing this. And here we go, we are actually getting to the real chorus now, and we see a bunch of really weirdly snapped notes right now. Really, it'll be a test of accuracy if you are able to play this well. I definitely believe that multiple misses may come out from players, though.
Yeah, so physicality-wise, this is quite easier than the first three, but there are quite technical patterns to make up, and you really have to be on your toes when you're attacking these patterns.
Yeah, right now we're seeing a bunch of quick one-hand trills, and we already saw our replayer mess that up, and that may happen to quite a few players right then, or just during during the actual match, especially under the pressure of being in the grand finals. I know you are guaranteed top 3, you're guaranteed at least some prize money, but you still definitely want to try your best to get into the highest spot possible. So these maps, especially under pressure, can definitely screw some players up. And we're only 3/4 the way through, getting into the last quarter. Another decently long map. We've been seeing quite a few short. Like in the last pool, there were quite a few short maps. So the pool so far has been quite lengthy, I would say. So definitely going to test quite a bit of stamina in these grand finals players. But I feel like they're definitely up to the task. Most likely having quite a bit of experience at playing at this difficulty. And as I'm saying this, we're getting into the second course, and it's very, very similar to the first. However, I mean, after having to play the entire map, it definitely won't feel the exact same.
Yeah, it's gonna be... Yeah.
And there we go. That is going to be Rice 4.
Yeah, and we had some very technical patterns in those. So those are going to be, that's our dunk tech. So now we're going to go into some, let's say this next map would be some more mini jack tech, but the patterns, the snaps aren't as difficult, but these gluts are extremely fast at 204 DPM.
Yep, and I believe this is the first time I've actually seen this artist be in a tournament pool, so I'm happy to see this since I like this artist quite a bit personally. I know they make quite a few good songs. But with that being said, I guess focusing more on the pick, we do see, as you said, a bunch of these mini jacks. So interesting to see. Very, very similar to, what was that pick? I'm trying to think. It was like I think it was like the Penguin Odyssey map, to where we saw quite a few mini jacks as well as jump streams. I mean, very, very different from that, but still. This map is quite a bit shorter than the other maps in the pool. We're already halfway through this. Only a minute 40. So misses will definitely matter quite a bit.
Yeah, this one is gonna be it's gonna be quite miss heavy. These jacks are pretty fast, so I don't expect anyone to like FC this, but it's just way too fast to FC. But there's gonna be some. You can act this, and it's difficult. It's really difficult.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an added layer of difficulty, because you go from these mini jacks into these really, really fast bursts, and that really just adds a wrench to play with that not every single player, I believe, is going to be able to play precisely enough, especially just because of how fast these mini jacks are, being at the like there's no way it's only 200. It has to be more than 200. I don't know the exact snapping, but it's definitely
like 204, 205-ish at 1.25.
Yeah, so just something difficult. And then having to play those bursts after is a pain, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we can now go on to Rice 6.
So this is going to be the FFR pick. It's going to be critical error 1.2. So this one also has quite a fair amount of gluts, but I'd say it tests less transitioning skills, and these jacks are just a little bit longer, but they're sparser, and they also test some different skill sets.
Yep, and happy to see another piece of map in the pool. We did see one last pool, so that was really, really fun to see. This one will definitely be a step up from the last one. We already see a miss coming out from these bursts. And that is something Pizza's decently well known for, having very, very difficult bursts to play. And already, again, we can see those jacks that you were talking about, and they're really, really brutal. They're kind of in like little packs, I guess. But even then, I feel like not being just straight a straight core jack, it kind of makes them a bit difficult, since you have to at least hesitate a bit to play them.
Yeah, there's a lot of... It's hard.
Yeah, definitely finger control going to be quite important in this. Being able to, I guess, precisely play these patterns is definitely going to be a big thing. And we're halfway through the map already. Another decently short, definitely not as short as the last map, but still. Or actually, this map is 3 minutes. I guess it just feels like it flies by. We're seeing this little anchor section, I guess you could say, and now going to a longer, more eccentric chord jack, as well as these, I guess, streams embedded in between them. So still, we'll have to test your transitions. Definitely a bit easier transitions than the last map, though. So maybe if you want to pick a map that's decently transition heavy, having some handstream as well as chord jack, this is going to be an option that you have.
Yeah, and here come the jacks that I was talking about. See, they're less transition. I'd say it's less streamy than the previous pick. They tend to kind of go in bursts, but that burst was kind of stupid, and you kind of get some stupid stuff going on near the end. So that's right. And now you have this section that isn't very mini jack heavy, but it's just so difficult to coordinate, especially if you're at the end.
Yeah, I think if somehow you're on an FC run at this point, this will definitely be the breaking point. This is really, really difficult to read in general. There's just so many, I guess, weird snappings, very, very many flams here, which, if you, like, mess up one of those, that's gonna be very brutal. Column block can occur.
Yeah, that's gonna be it for Rice 6. So we're gonna now go into our core jack pick, and this is gonna be a well-known map, but it's gonna be very fast. It's gonna be on an up rate, 1.25 rate. Life is Piano 1.25. Let's go. So, I mean, maybe to some players this might be a cakewalk, but
not some players, one player.
One player.
To Mitter, this will be a cakewalk.
I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure, like, how good the other players are at core jacks, but like, yeah, this is quite hard. Like, to FC this in match, I'd say this is quite hard, even if you get really good accuracy.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely separate from the last pool. Instead of, I believe last pool was like 157, and now it's 166, and this is insanely dense. I feel like I remember this being a bit more dense than the last core jack map, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it's quite dense, and it's 166. Last round was 157 BPM, so yeah. This is to kind of compensate for the other maps being as difficult as they are, and this probably should be one of the easier picks of the pool if you're proficient in core jacks.
Yeah, I mean, core jack is very, I guess, I like to think of core jack as being a very black and white skill set, even though it really isn't. But, like, if you can play these kind of core jacks very well, you'll most likely be getting, like, a easy V1 double S. But, like, if you can't, it'll be quite a bit of a struggle to be taking these points. So this will most likely be something that anyone would really want to ban, and Mitter is going to most likely protect like they have been doing throughout this entire tournament so far, just being a really, really good core jack player. But that is it for Life is Piano now.
Yeah, so now we've got an extra rice pick because it's now a 17 map pool, so there's going to be 8 rice instead of 7. So what's rice 8 going to be?
It is going to be Giller Meziat's Zenethalize.
Yeah, Zenethalize by Giller Meziat. Right, so And this file is funny, but it should also be one of the easier picks of the pool. It's just kind of technical, somewhat. You'll see what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Gil or Meziat maps, even for me at least, even if they aren't like necessarily meant to be technical, they definitely all feel at least a bit technical, and are kind of uncomfortable to play in general. So maybe that comes from a bit of skill issue, but I mean, I feel like that could be said even for the maps that I feel confident on, and this is definitely going to be not an exception. I feel. Here we're already seeing these streams very, very difficult. Not as dense as some of the other streams in the map pool, but still a bunch of, like, I guess, jacks embedded in between everything.
So this is a kind of a break, but the real meat of it starts in the second half. You're gonna see a lot of different polyrhythms. It gets really dense in the second half. These jacks combine with the polyrhythms to create some very difficult patterns.
Yep, and we're quickly approaching the second half. I feel like the song has been seen, at least for me, quite a lot. So maybe some of these players have some knowledge on this song in general. So hopefully those polyrhythms aren't gonna throw people off all too much. But we do see quite a lengthy break right here, but really I don't think that's going to be too big. And here we're finally getting into the, I guess, more bursts, extended bursts, very, very anchor heavy on the right and left hand, and here's just a very dense stream.
Yeah, and it just keeps on going. You have to maintain this, and you keep on maintaining this, and it gets, well, here's kind of a break, but after this it will continue. There will be another dense section right at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call this a break, since you definitely still have to, like, at least put some effort into trying to conserve, at least, either it's conserving stamina or trying to get as good a back as possible. Maybe if you're a bit down, you took a miss or two in the other section, you want to get as good of a score as possible and maybe conserve some stamina for this last quarter, or this last little burst, which is definitely something that you're going to have to keep in mind for any situation, since that is going to be the breaking point between some players.
Yeah, so Rice 8, this is going to be a little bit of a dice roll at the end, but if you are fast enough to hang on, then you should not have an issue with it. It's just that ending is just difficult.
But
now we're going to go to our hybrids, and I am really excited to show you the hybrid 1. It's a custom of mine. This is going to be the Rice hybrid. It's going to be Reboot by Bimani Sound Team Tag.
I believe we had a Bimani Sound Team map last pool, actually, so interesting to see that both of them have been customs and also have been placed into this Hybrid 1 category. And we're already seeing this. This is definitely a step up from then. I thought that last map was difficult, and now I'm just like kind of flabbergasted, I guess. Just because even these LNs are they're insanely dense alongside these, I guess, reverse shields as well as shields. And we get a slight break from that really, really quick intro. But it's not going to be all too much. We have an anchor as well as some LNs.
And this LN section is really hard to coordinate because it's almost like you're hitting yours, but not really. And it's kind of in between.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of the Lubiter section, the funny Lubiter section, if I'm gonna be honest.
And now we're gonna get into some jump stream.
Yeah, there's definitely quite a huge emphasis on the Rice, I'd say. A lot of jump stream, a lot of just like jacks, a lot of, I guess, shields in general. Whereas I feel like the LN difficulty really just comes from the density and a bit from that control section that we saw earlier.
And there's a bunch of anchors here, and you just really have to. You're gonna end up chain missing if you don't keep your composure.
man. We even see that happen to Marcio, actually, so... I mean, if one of the best players in the world can do it, I don't see why any of our players can't do it as well. There we go. That is Rice 1. Now,
right, hybrid 1, not Rice.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
There's way too many
You know what?
for this field,
It's the same thing. hybrid 1. Now going into hybrid 2. It's late for me. It's 10 p.m. But I uploaded my F list. Is this a custom?
It's another custom by me.
Ooh.
So this one is gonna have it's gonna emphasize it's kind of technical. It's supposed to be your tech hybrid. And
interesting to hear. Yeah, this is my first time hearing this song, so this background definitely stuck out to me when I was looking at the replays. If I'm gonna be honest, it's very different from normal backgrounds.
It's a Renard song, and I stole it from Nivrad, who made another chart of this. But yeah, as you can see, this is supposed to be our technical hybrid. There's a lot of jump flip transitions and even some polyrhythms.
Yeah, these transitions are very brutal, I'd say. I feel like there's a high chance for people just to, I guess, accidentally take a miss, maybe double tapping there, and we kind of see that happen right then. So, high miss potential, going to be something that I wouldn't say is very free to play in general. It's also a decent bit coordination based, so I would say a lot of the LNs have been seeming to be around the same snappings, at least release and starting wise, but I mean that doesn't necessarily mean it's simple. I definitely think the density itself can add quite a bit of difficulty on reading.
Right, and those outer column LNs, those outer column LN inverses are really difficult to coordinate if you're not careful with them.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like any sort of outer column LN while having to hold the two middle columns is difficult. And here we see, I guess, a 3K section.
Yeah, 3K. I guess that's what you call it, the shields.
Yeah, we see very little presence on one of the columns. And I feel like that's generally a very difficult pattern to play in general. It's very uncomfortable to play, at least for me. So it's interesting to see, and we just continue to see quite awkward releases as well. I do want to add some of these, I guess, trills, one-hand trills. The Rice in general just seems very techy. And I guess that's why it's the tech hybrid.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those picks that you'll probably get a higher score on this pick than the other picks of this pool, but it's still really easy to mess it up in game.
Yeah, I mean, if you get a higher score, most likely your opponent's going to get a higher score. So, always a double-edged sword if you're playing super well on one of the picks. But with that being said, hybrid 3 is going to be Kyoku by Katagiri.
And this is a map by Leon. We've cut it and put it on the 1.1. So I guess you could consider this the stamina hybrid.
Yep. Wasn't this song used? Isn't this the 7K MWC song? I believe.
I believe it is.
Yeah, I believe it was also a little fun fact. This was also used in the Taiko World Cup in the semifinals pool. So excited to be able to hear this song again, I guess. We finally see a difference or not necessarily finally, but we did see May, I believe, playing the replays, but now it's sudden death, so fun to see. And yeah, we definitely see, I guess, a bit more emphasis on Rice in this early section compared to LN, even though this is a hybrid, but yeah, definitely the latter half picks up a bit more on the hybrid or on the LN sections. Yeah,
these Rice bursts are pretty difficult So I'd say it's analogous to Hybrid 3 in semifinals, which was $100 bills. It's kind of this mini tiebreaker that kind of throws a little bit of everything at you.
Yeah, and right now we're seeing quite difficult LNs, a lot more difficult than we've seen in the other half. Really having to hold down one note while having to play around it, just like these kind of difficult, difficult to read patterns. And now we see a lot more LN right now. That earlier section was very rice filled, but now we're seeing quite a bit of awkward release timings right now. And I believe this is the longest hybrid that we've seen so far, or that we will see. I think there's only 3 hybrids. So 3 minutes and 14 seconds, definitely going to be a step up. Does mean that there is going to be quite a big chance to come back from any kind of miss. So I wouldn't be too worried if you're taking 1 or 2 misses on this, especially just with the nature of this pool's difficulty. We only have a quarter of the map left, so really everything has been thrown at you, but you still have to play even after all that. And here we go, coming up to the end, just really a slice of everything, having some of these difficult LNs to play as well as some rice embedded in between everything. A lot of jump stream, a lot of trills. This is really like throwing the sink at you.
Okay, so that's Hybrid 3. Now we're going to go to Hybrid 4, which is kind of, this one's going to be pretty technical. Well, kind of, it's going to have these LN graces that you might love. And yeah, so this is going to be traversed by Dr. Mango.
Ooh,
it's going to be great.
I'm excited to see another Dr. Mango chart. I feel like they've been really up and coming as of recently. I'm a huge fan of their charts in general. It definitely has a, I guess, well-known style if you've played at least one of their charts. As you did say, this is very filled with difficult graces. So definitely something that Dr. Mango is quite well known for, at least in my opinion, having really awkward snappings and difficult LNs to time. This chart is decently short, only being 1:44, and that first quarter being kind of free. But I mean, after that, we definitely see very difficult bursts right now. We see all these LNs really being mixed in. Some of these LNs are so short that they genuinely look like rice on this skin, even though there's no Percy. We're just continuing to see these kind of rolly LNs just all over the place. Very similar patterns to, I guess, Spin Eternally in the last pool, even though they're in the different pool. This map has very, I guess, like, not really necessarily regular LNs. I kind of like to think of these as like dumpy LNs. But all these bursts really just make this map super difficult to play, especially on just any kind of run. I feel like there's a high chance of just any miss possibility. But I think that's it for the hybrid pool. I think we can finally get into the LNs, my personal favorite part of the pools. And we'll start off with Elixir's Wisdomont.
Wisdomont, the Leaf, like, so Elixir. So this is going to be our inverse pick. it's going to be very dense, and we see a FC with we see a very good score from Sun Death, also known as Ellen Master, but make no mistake, this file is very, very dense. It's 240, it's very dense.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this was also a song that was Ellen Density in 2018 MWC Finals by Kamikaze. Yeah, so here you go. Here's a remap of that by Lexire.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Sudden Death is really well known for these kind of patterns. At least being really well known for these, and if I'm gonna be honest, I feel like both Hellison and Nepogen are gonna, I guess, find this map to be very, very fun in general. So gonna be interesting to see how that matchup is going to play out, especially on this map. As this map is going to be 2 minutes and 5 seconds, so a decently short map, and it being Ellen Density, any misread definitely just like kind of can screw up your entire run. And here we go, going into the chorus section, we see so many just like streams that are, it's basically just an inverse stream map, like as if you just put like the noodle maker on.
Yeah, I should say these bursts are quite the difficulty spike as well, so that is probably like will be the main source of difficulty for these players.
Yeah, all these LNs seem to be about uniform in terms of LN length, so they're not necessarily like weird snappings, but even then I still feel like the difficulty really just shines through just because of the speed, the raw speed of this.
And that's going to be it for LN1. LN2 is going to be our release pick, and it's going to be Kanzen Hanzai Love Letter 1.1 by GB Sherway Fa. So this is going to be kind of a timing hell. In fact, you can basically think of this as a timing hell.
Sounds very similar to Nisei Mono, so that's kind of funny to think about. I think this sounds like the same artist. Definitely not a Juan Crystal map, instead a Chinese mapper that I actually haven't heard of, so good to be able to, I guess, have some Chinese representation. We have had it quite a bit in the earlier pools, but we've been lacking, I guess. But here we go, going into timing hell, as you did say. We see these really awkward shields. Very, I guess, timing hell-esque.
And here comes the drop, and you get some really nasty patterns thrown at you. And it even sounds like Nisei Mono. So you can make this as Nisei Mono 2, maybe without the speed up.
Nisei Mono 2. I feel like this is definitely a lot more extended than Nisei Mono. Or not, I guess like spread out. I feel like Nisei Mono has like one really difficult section, whereas this one has its entire map being difficult, and we're really seeing that right now. But these anchors, I guess, are definitely going to be very difficult to play around.
Yeah, so now after that chorus, we get another break section. And we'll see the patterns that they have to throw at us for these other... we'll see the patterns they have to throw at us in the future, later in the song.
Yeah, this map is quite dense, but definitely different dense in a different way compared to the last map. I feel like this map is very dense, most likely just because of the awkward release timing for all these notes. I haven't really seen all too many notes being around the same snapping, so it's interesting to see that being the case, especially because there's quite a few of these anchors that like can screw players up. Also, that one trail is really funny to see.
it's not that long, but it's kind of, as you said, it's kind of fun. It's kind of like Lacrima.
Yeah, it's like a mini Lacrima that you're just playing. But we have another break right here, so definitely this map has quite a bit of breaks, but I mean that doesn't necessarily mean it's easy. I feel like with these LN maps aren't necessarily the most physically challenging, so having breaks isn't going to mean all too much. Really, it's just going to mean that you're going to have to transition into, I guess, more density, or at least a different having to adapt your eyes, I guess. And now we're getting into the final course, I believe, and really just a step up from anything. We continue to see these really difficult anchors all over the place, as well as like just another level of snapping changes. The map seems extremely fun to play, though, if I'm going to be honest. Definitely something that I'm going to be playing a lot after this.
Yeah, and also keep in mind this is 1.1, so if you don't want to play this fast pattern, you can try 1.0, which is also really fun.
Alright, and now, LN3. It is going to be a Sakura UK song. And this is actually 40M custom, I believe, right?
Yeah, this was a custom for 40M Grand Finals, and now you're seeing it here on Grand Finals as well, but this time it's at 1.15 rate.
Yeah, I believe. I'm trying to think this map off the top of my head. I do remember it being very, very difficult even on the 1.0 rate. So, especially, like, I guess the density and just like the Mysterion type pattern, since this is charted by Mysterion. Definitely just like throw a wrench in your LN capabilities. This map is quite a bit shorter than actually. I mean, it's a decent length compared to the other two maps. We did see Wisdimiot being 2 minutes, and the last map being around 3. So this is being, I guess, more of the middle ground, but definitely not letting up at all in terms of density. We see just you're constantly having to play at least something being releasing, being like tapping. It's all over the place, I guess. And this is 264 BPM, so definitely can be a struggle to play if you're not comfortable in reading this kind of BPM. Though it is at OD 7.7, so maybe you can have a bit of a nip. But I mean, OD 7.7 doesn't necessarily mean it's easy, I would say. And here, getting to the last third of the map, we finally get, I guess, a mini break. Still definitely having to focus quite a bit on trying your best to release as well as possible on these like awkward releases. And coming into the last quarter, it's very, very similar to the intro. Just a bunch of very dense patterns, as well as having, I guess, more simpler releases than the last map, but still very difficult to time correctly.
Yes, it's very speedy. There's a lot of almost inverse patterns, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's dense enough to qualify as density. But the sheer speed alone can just like really screw you. It's just really fast and really dense.
Oh yeah, definitely. And now, going into the last map of the normal pool, we're going to be seeing LN5.
LN4.
LN4. It's too late for me. LN4, Sphere.
This is Sphere by yours truly. So this is going to be the technical pick. It's kind of long, and it's got these kind of jump patterns but there's some shields, there's some plans. You kind of just, it's also kind of a consistency test since it's kind of long and there's a lot of objects. Also, shout out to Gil for mapping this for Soft 4. Shout out to Gil.
Shout out to Gil. Also has a map in our pool actually, so funny to see. And yeah, you did say this is decent length, being 3 minutes and 16 seconds, and we're already getting into this very techy release section right here. This seems like absolutely absurd, really having to hold down at least 2 notes minimum while also releasing at least one. So definitely going to be a step up from, I guess, some of the other LMs in this pool.
Yeah, you just have to be really proficient at LN shields and LN jacks. There's a lot of those in this map, and it's testing kind of consistency on those patterns. And in this next KI, you're going to see the hardest part of this map. The one after this. This one is kind of maybe a little more tricky than what you saw before, but the one that's coming up is probably the hardest part. This next part has a lot of bursts, and it just throws the whole kitchen sink at you.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a density increase, I guess, but still definitely keeping in line with the release, release difficulty.
Yeah, but I guess there isn't really too much more to say, because what you'll see in this last part is just going to be a repeat of what you saw earlier, and it's kind of a consistency test. It's kind of testing your consistency on these LN jacks.
Yeah, we're coming up to the end of the map. Very, I guess it gets a bit easier than what we've seen so far, though still not necessarily something that you can just like autopilot, I would say. There we go.
Alright, so that's going to be it for the regular pool, and I should say that before we get into the tiebreaker, we weren't able to find any replayers, so I think it's just, so the Rice is really difficult. I would say it's definitely Rice biased. LNs aren't so bad, like I'd say compared to like system error, they're not as bad, but the Rice is definitely like really difficult, and we made it that way so that we could kind of make it part of kind of the American repertoire. Like these players are like really good at Rice, so we kind of wanted to make the Rice as difficult as could. Well, still making it kind of reasonable.
Yep.
This is gonna be Sea of Stars by How to Play LN and Saimitsu. Have fun, guys.
Ooh, we have Stepmania playing this. Interesting to see. Oh, definitely Seimitsu has been really good, at least in terms of our map pools. I feel like they mapped like a few customs at this point, correct?
Yeah, Sai's napped a few customs. They've napped the quarterfinals tiebreaker as well as some the finals week 1 hybrids. So yeah, they have quite a few of their charts here, so it's great to see them.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy to see them, especially being quite good friends with them I would say, and I guess seeing them since they started doing tournaments. But I guess focus more on this map pool, or onto this Grand Finals tiebreaker. Hopefully we'll be able to see it in the pool. We did see a tiebreaker this weekend against Hellsun and Neptune, so there's still a chance of it happening. You did say that Rice was super difficult, and that was like the main reason why we were struggling to find a playtester for this, just because of how difficult this Rice is. Really not many people were on to be able to get a playtester, so instead we got the Stepmania themselves. And we're already seeing that right now. This is so dense right now. This is 256 BPM, and that definitely does not look like 256 BPM. Actually, that may be 256 BPM mini jacks. But definitely going to show off your Rice capabilities on this, and we're only a third of the way through the map, so imagine having to play this after like having to play through the entire map pool. And I mean, some of this jump stream definitely looks at least a bit manipulable, but it's definitely not something that you can hold consistently, since you will be dropping quite a bit of accuracy if you do so. And I don't think there's a chance that anyone FCs this. I genuinely think this is like going to be impossible to FC for the players, sadly. So don't get your hopes up. I think even comboing up to this section will be really impressive.
You're not gonna combo up to this section. You're gonna get screwed over by the mini jacks.
It's kind of guaranteed. Mini jacks, maybe the streams, something's gonna mess you up. And here we go. Still some difficult releases, definitely. I mean, this is basically inverse right now. Definitely quite a bit slower than some of the map pool, but still, inverse is inverse.
And here comes the LN section you've been waiting for, with mini jacks. Let's go.
Mini jacks. So many mini jacks, as well as reverse shields, just scattered all over the place. Definitely a test of basically every kind of pattern right now. 256 BPM, remember that. Two-thirds into the map. This LN section just never lets up, huh? Well, never mind, it just did. Thanks, map. But we go straight back into these Rice, I guess, streams. I wouldn't really call them streams, since it's just really a bunch of different assortments of patterns, really jumbled up together.
And we go back into this heavy mini jack section. Very difficult. Lots of mini jacks, lots of bursts. Yeah, so that's gonna be it for the Grand Finals map pool. And we hope you guys have fun with the map pools. We hope you've enjoyed these map pools so far.
I hope so too, honestly. it is going to be the last week of NAMT. I hope everyone is happy to be able to be finished with this tournament. I hope everyone had fun. I'll definitely be making a more serious post later on as one of the hosts, but yeah, with that being said,
Yeah.
I was Sun Apple, and I was joined here by Chu.
Hello.
So, thank you for coming to the Grand Finals Mappool Showcase. Thanks.
Yeah, it was great rolling for you guys, and I'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.